I hate you.
You're like a brother to me. Don't make me do it. I have
sure
the high
do
ground.
hate you.
Oh my goodness, my head has been severed from my body and now I sure am in a pickle. Hello, everybody. Feel free to notice the new setup, by the way. I mean, this is what it's always looked like from the other side. I just thought I'd switch it around a little bit. You know, there's obviously been a bit of a jump between videos recently. You know, I said that I was gonna slow down a little bit to work on some stuff. And I mean, I really did slow down, but you know, you're gonna start seeing some changes like this. And please feel free to let me know if you like them or not. I'm always working to make the best content I can, so please feel free to leave some, So now, this is a topic that I was going to make a video on about a month and a half ago, almost 2 months now, and I posted that intro that you just watched again a month and a half ago on the Instagram if you follow it, which you should. But I just decided to scrap the video because it seemed like kind of out of nowhere. It seemed kind of pointless. You know, everyone's heard this before. Everyone, you know, it's a controversial character. What do I have to say about it? But the topic, it just keeps on going. Especially since I've joined Star Wars Twitter. Feel free to check me out on Star Wars Twitter. But goddamn, this is an argument that is being had nonstop. It's like a f***ing war is raging. As much as I really don't like this argument, there is one main thing that like finally pushed me over the edge to finally make this video, and that is a personal argument that I had over it on Twitter, which, you know, oh, whatever, you're making a video about an argument? Yes. No, I don't really want to talk about that argument that much. You can look at it right here if you feel that interested in it. Here it is for your entertainment. I'm not gonna talk about it too much. It's just the main things to take away from it is this person saying, if you don't like Rey, you hate women. And I say, I like all of these women characters, so why does disliking one make me dislike them all? And they go, what a dumb argument. In an attempt to do a bit of research for this video, I found a few articles. I'm mainly just going to talk about two. There's not a lot to find out about this. It's kind of, again, I think it's a dumb topic. I don't think there's a lot to base this opinion off of. So when you go through articles, you're not going to find much. You're going to find the same few things said over and over and over. Now, in doing research for the topic, the big main, like, write-up on the topic is this little essay. I don't know what you'd call it. It's called "The Force is Too Strong with This One: Sexism, Star Wars, and Female Heroes." I hope I remembered that correctly. And I feel like I really didn't gather that much from it. It goes over different forms of misogyny, I guess, to the two main forms of it being hateful sexism and being benevolent sexism. The biggest, I can't even say it's that big. There is one thing that this little write-up has that the other things don't, and it's actual data. It's actual data, and they did a survey with people after The Force Awakens came out, and it was pretty much saying, like, do you think Rey is overpowered? Yes or no? Do you dislike women? Yes or no? And surprise, surprise, people who don't like women also don't like Rey. So people who are on the opposing side of this argument as me might take that and be like, my point was just proven. Like, if you don't like Rey, you hate women. Well, no, you're reading that data in the way that you want to read it. Just because I dislike Rey doesn't mean I hate women. But someone who does hate women is going to dislike Rey. The same way that a Nazi is going to be German, but a German person isn't going to be a Nazi. You know, it's not, you know, it's the same way that a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't always a square. You're looking at this very one-dimensionally here. We'll move on from that. There's not a lot to get from this article, this write-up. I don't know what to call it, an essay? I don't know. But there is another article, and I almost passed over this one. It's called, hold on, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker erases the power of Rey's story and surrenders to sexist trolls. I really did. I almost passed up on this one because I thought it was just so out of there, but I guess that's exactly what I was looking for, because, you know, I really wanted to get into the heads of my opposition here. But shockingly, I agree with almost everything this article said, at least like the first half. I 100% agree. A lot of what this article had to say is that in The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson put the label on Rey as a nobody. Everyone was wondering, who is Rey? Where does she come from? Who are her parents? Is she Obi-Wan's daughter? Is she Luke's daughter? Who is she? And Rian Johnson finally came out and said, hey everybody, she's actually her own person. She isn't Rey Kenobi. She isn't Rey Skywalker. She's Rey. Honestly, I am not a fan of The Last Jedi, at least in Star Wars terms. At least compared to the other Star Wars films. But I will say that's one thing I definitely think Rian Johnson did right. When that movie came out and it was made clear Rey, you're like a nobody, I was so into that. I thought it was good, because the whole thing about Star Wars is seeing yourself in that character's place. That's why George Lucas would spend months and months and months casting for characters that were pretty much nobodies. It's all about having these small names so that a kid can see Luke Skywalker, not knowing who it is, and imagine, what if I was Luke Skywalker? And it works because, as somebody who started watching Star Wars at a young age, I grew up, still to this day, Luke's one of my favorite characters. I love all the green lightsabers. Luke's Return of the Jedi lightsaber is my favorite, because when I was young, he was like an idol to me. And I think a lot of other people can agree with that, because that's the point of these films, is for children to see themselves in these spotlights the way that these characters are, and making Rey her own person and starting her own legacy there. That's just furthering that same idea. You know, you don't have to be a Skywalker to be something great. You don't have to be a Kenobi to be something great. You can be a nobody, and you're going to still do amazing things. But when J.J. Abrams got back to this trilogy, he said, no, actually Palpatine. Yeah, so I agree on this article a lot, that I think Rian Johnson's take on it was a lot better than J.J. Abrams. I don't think J.J. Abrams did it because he was giving it to sexist trolls, though. If I'm being honest, I think the main reason that I don't like Rey's character, or the sequel trilogy altogether, because it's even more than Rey's character, is that I have a problem with the trilogy. And the main reason is because it's just altogether a tug of war between these two writers. JJ sets something up, and then Ryan gets rid of that to make room for his own stuff, and then instead of JJ coming back and furthering the stuff that Ryan's put in place, he takes away all of Ryan's stuff to put his stuff back in there, and then it's over. And what you've got is a bunch of unfinished... It's a mess. I think if one person's story was fulfilled throughout this trilogy, I'm sure I would have liked Rey a lot better, because it's just such a mess. Rey's whole story is trying to figure out who she is as a person, and the writers cannot figure that out themselves. To say that the main source of hate for Rey is misogyny is ludicrous, because there are so many strong female characters throughout the entire Star Wars galaxy. It's incredible. I've always been a Darth Maul fan. He's always been my number one, just because I mean, as when I was a child, it was because his colors were cool, you know, I thought he had a cool design on his face. But as time goes on and these shows go on, I think he's a great, I think you can drop him into any story and he just makes things so chaotic and makes things so interesting. You'll never go wrong with a Star Wars story that has Darth Maul in it. On the other hand, though, goddamn Ahsoka is such a close second. Ahsoka is a character who fights for good, and just no matter what the people around her think or are doing, she always has her own morals, and like they're so important to her that she doesn't let the people around her change them. She doesn't let people like groom her into becoming evil the way that so many characters have had done to them. She is just so strongly believing in what is right and what is good, and she just is such a good character, and you watch her grow throughout all these different series, and it's just so good. And you have other amazing female characters like Leia, like Asajj. I love Asajj. I think she's one of the best villains, again, other than Maul, but I think she has some really great growth as a villain in Star Wars. You're constantly getting these strong female characters. The only time that you don't get strong female characters is when they're trying to make strong female characters, which is why you don't have any good ones coming out of the sequel trilogy. Kathleen, come on. I just think so many better options could have been done with Rey. You could have had, again, a character who is fighting for what they believe is good, and even when the people around them, what they've been growing up with their entire life, those people are turning to something that this character doesn't totally agree with, they'll even leave that all behind. Their entire past, their whole life, they leave it all behind because they know what is right, and they are going to continue to fight for that no matter what. You can have a character who's fighting not to destroy evil, but to bring out the goodness that is within that evil. She could have been a character who grew up in strict peace but realized down the line that there is a fight to be fought for the freedom of others. You know, there are so many great characters, so many great things that these characters are doing, and all Rey does is go, I'm Rey, who am I?
I'm Han Solo. I feel like he's the father you never had.
Do you want to know the truth about your parents? Or have you always known? You know the truth. Say it.
They were nobody.
They were filthy junk traders.
Empress Palpatine.
Rey Skywalker.
Look, I'm not gonna ramble anymore. I'm sure this has all been said a million times. My main point here, if anything is going to be taken away from this video, all I want to be taken away from this video is that looking at you can have your own opinions when it comes to Star Wars. That's what this is all about. There's so much media, there's so much being done all the time. I was gonna say millions, that's literally a lie. There's a ton of books, I'll say that. There's comics, there's movies, there's shows, there's so much going on in this universe, and you can pick and choose what you love in it. You can be someone who only likes the prequels, so you just watch those movies, you watch those shows, you read those books, and you'll still have a ton of media that you love. There's so much to get out of it, and you know, whatever you get out of it is fine, and whatever I get out of it is fine. It's not going to hurt me if you only like Rey. If you think that Darth Maul is the bane of your existence and you want nothing to do with him, I don't care. He's my favorite character, but he doesn't have to be yours. I just think that looking at someone who doesn't share your opinion and saying that the reason they don't share your opinion is because they're a hateful person or because they have these awful views on the real world, I think you're just adding more toxicity to this already toxic community, and I think we should be fighting against that instead of adding to it. So I really just want you to gather whatever you want from this video, you know, whatever. Just look at this beautiful franchise that's been made with a good heart, man. That's all. If you like the video, please leave a like, please subscribe. I could very use it. I could very much use it. And if you're one of my first 100 subscribers, you will always have bragging rights. So that's something to work towards. Thank you guys for watching, man. Have a good rest of your...
Bye.